Welcome to the League of Voters St. Peter Area Candidate Forum, featuring candidates for the Mankato Area Public Schools School Board. I am Carolyn Dobler, Secretary of the League of Women Voters St. Peter Area and moderator for tonight's forum. I will be assisted by Joan Easton, Vice President of our League. The League of Women Voters is a local, state, and national nonpartisan volunteer group. We encourage informed and active participation of citizens in government, and we influence public policy through education and advocacy. We do not support candidates or political parties. Our event tonight is designed to allow the candidates an opportunity to express their views on issues important to the members of the public in preparation for the general election on November 5th, 2024. Candidate forums follow the unbiased and impartial format established and published by the League of Women Voters, Minnesota. This forum is being recorded in its entirety without an audience on September 26th at Mankato West High School. Editing is authorized only for official media reporting. Excerpts or edited clips of the candidate forums may not be used for partisan political purposes. The views expressed in each forum are those of the candidates, not those of the League of Women Voters. I will ask questions tonight submitted by the public to the League via email prior to this evening. League question facilitators screen all questions and may rephrase, combine, or eliminate questions to avoid duplication. We will not ask questions that are not relevant to the office or that are designed to make a statement rather than solicit information. Questions that are hostile, embarrassing, inappropriate, or of a personal nature will not be asked. As forum moderator, I have the final responsibility as to which questions will be asked. All candidates listed by the Minnesota Secretary of State's office have been invited to participate. One of the candidates was unable to attend this evening and submitted written opening and closing statements that I will read. With us tonight are candidates Tim Flynn, Elizabeth Hankey, Joel Hollerick, Christopher Kind, Liz Ratcliffe, and Aaron Roberts. Voters will select 4 candidates to serve on the school board, each for a 4-year term. Candidates will have 2 minutes for opening statements. Then, on a rotating basis, candidates will be asked questions. They will each have 1.5 minutes to answer. At the end of the forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. Timers will hold up a yellow sign when 15 seconds are left and a stop sign when time is up. Candidates may finish their sentences. Our timers this evening are Judy Allen and Colleen Jacks, both members of the St. Peter Area League. We have asked each candidate to be specific in their opening statements as to the reasons they are running for office and what unique qualities, skills, experience, or expertise they would bring to the job. I will first read a statement submitted by candidate Tracy Frederick Corcoran, who could not attend this evening, and then we'll continue with statements first from Tim Flynn, followed in order by Elizabeth Hankey, Joel Hollerick, Christopher Kind, Liz Ratcliffe, and Aaron Roberts. So this is the opening statement from Tracy Frederick Corcoran. Good evening, I'm Tracy Frederick Corcoran, and I'm honored to be a candidate for the Mankato School Board. I envision a district where every child, regardless of their background, has the resources to succeed. This means creating a safe and supportive learning environment for every student and staff member. It also means modernizing our curriculum to prepare students for the ever-evolving job market and establishing robust support systems to guide their success. Having spent many years deeply involved in pre-K-12 education, including roles within the Mankato Area Public Schools and as Director of Teaching and Learning in Faribault Public Schools during the COVID-19 pandemic, I bring a unique and informed perspective to the board. I am committed to using this firsthand experience to drive meaningful improvements, ensuring every student thrives. As a proud mom of a 2023 MAPS graduate and a current freshman at Mankato West High School, I've seen firsthand the strengths and challenges within our educational system. Post-pandemic students are different, and we must engage them in new ways to help them envision lifelong success. I am dedicated to advocating for policies that address immediate needs, including fully funded education, while laying the groundwork for sustainable long-term improvement. I have a proven track record of driving positive change and achieving results. While I can't be with you in person tonight, I'll be answering questions from this forum on my Facebook page, Tracy Frederick Corcoran, MAPS School Board candidate, and on my website, www.tracyfrederickcorcoran.com. Let's transform our schools together to positively impact our students today and in the future. I look forward to serving you as a member of the Mankato Area Public Schools School Board. Thank you. All right. So our first opening statement will be from Tim Flynn.
Thank you. My name is Tim Flynn. I'm a graduate from Mankato East High School back in 1998. I live here in Eagle Lake. I have 5 kids. My oldest graduated from Loyola back in 2020. My second graduated from East just this past year. And I have a kindergartner and a preschooler at Eagle Lake, and I have a really young one who's only 1 year old. The reason why I'm running for Mankato School Board is I'm a big advocate on child's mental health. I helped start the anti-bullying committee with the United Way. My full-time job is working with kids. I meet with kids and their parents. I hear their concerns about how mental health is affecting them at school, how they feel like they're not being heard. And I want to be that person that's going to listen to them. I travel the country. I do anti-bullying seminars, youth empowerment seminars, and I get wide perspectives on bullying. People tell me bullying is a one issue, but reality, bullying is a root that can cause many issues, and that's why it's so complex. And I want to help, address that with our community. Thanks.
Thank you. Elizabeth Hankey.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Hankey. I have lived here for 20 years, and I am a business owner in this community. I have 3 daughters. One has graduated from Mankato West, and 2 are currently enrolled here. And I've also hosted multiple exchange students starting in 2016 here at Mankato West, exchange teachers at Mankato East, as well as exchange students at Mankato East and Maple River. My students have studied abroad during high school in both Spain and the Netherlands, so I bring a global perspective to how education works throughout the world. My focus is going to be on bringing additional transparency and communication to the district, and also making sure that we have accountability and resources in the classroom. So ensuring that we have the support network necessary for our students to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Joel Hollerick.
I'm Joel Hollerick. I have 4 children in the Mankato area schools. My wife is a teacher at one of the elementary schools. And I grew up with a mother who was a teacher. She was a 2nd grade teacher in the Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial District for my whole life. And so have been around education, seen it in Mankato, in Lake Crystal, up in the cities, in a couple of different communities. So bringing perspectives of small school, large school, charter school to kind of my experience. Also bringing 2 of my children are in advanced placement classes and accelerated coursework. One has been in the special ed program, and then one is too young to be in any of the accelerated things or anything. But so have seen several different schools. At one time, I had kids in 4 different schools. And my wife student taught in one, had her first year in another school, and now is in a 3rd school. So a lot of exposure anyway to the district. And I want to make the world a better place. And so I want to do that through education because it's got ripple effects. And so if we can improve education for the students who go to Mankato Public Schools, then, that goes out. Their future can be better, and then they can impact more people, and so that good quality education, whether they go on to college, they go to trade school, they go right into the workforce, makes a difference in the rest of their lives and then the lives that they impact. So I guess my big concern is reading, and knowing that there were kids in my wife's class last year who were not reading at a 5th grade level, some who had a hard time reading at all. And so really I want to work on that fundamental early education is going to be my biggest focus, and improving the elementary so that they've got a good base for the future.
Thank you. Christopher Kind.
Thank you. I wanted to start by thanking the League of Women Voters for having us, allowing us to be here and to find out a little bit more about the candidates. My name is Christopher Kind. I'm a longtime resident of Mankato. I moved here for school in the fall of 1989, so 39 years. I've been a resident, went to school at Bethany Lutheran College, and finished at MSU, and then stayed, worked, got married, raised a family. I have a sophomore student at Mankato East, and my wife of 23 years is the lunch lady at Mankato East. So it's a great connection to the district for me. Growing up, I was educated in the public school system in St. Peter through 8th grade, and then I went to high school at Minnesota Valley Lutheran, and then went to Bethany and went to MSU, like I had said. So I've got a blend of public and private education experience. As a parent, I have a blend of public and private education experience through my daughter. And that's been real eye-opening as far as what it takes to educate a child. And it's been very important to have that experience to be able to make sure that my daughter gets everything she needs. In my work life, I've mostly been in business, whether labor, sales, representing my companies, and also at Bethany. I've been there for 18 years, trying to raise funds to support the college. I have that higher ed experience, and in that time I've learned a lot about the students that end up in higher ed, where they come from, priorities, the tools that they come with, and I can relate that to the school district and what we need for that next level for both business work, working in business, working in the community, and going to higher ed. I've been on the board for 4 years, never been in elected office before. I ran 4 years ago during the middle of COVID. It was a completely different experience, I'm sure, than it is this year. And the last 4 years have been kind of two different terms. The first 2 years were much different than the last 2 years. I actually appreciate the last 2 years a lot more than the first 2 years. And I think that over that time, I've learned even more so how to be a thoughtful, independent thinker, and learn how to collaborate with colleagues and people in the community and our staff and faculty in our schools. Finding out that in order to collaborate, you don't always have to agree on everything, and you can get things done and be able to work within the system to do well for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz Radcliffe.
Good evening. And I too would also say thank you to the League of Women Voters for organizing and hosting this forum, and thanks to everyone watching. My name is Liz Radcliffe. I am running for re-election for a seat on the MAP School Board. It has been an incredible honor to serve on the board, and I hope to earn your vote for a second term. My service on the board started amid the pandemic, at which time our board navigated the district through some unprecedented challenges. Because of our collaborative process, our respectful relationships, and our mutual trust, we have really hit our stride. We are governing the district effectively and efficiently, and we are accomplishing positive, measurable outcomes. In my first term, our board stabilized and strengthened the budget, bounced back from a decrease in enrollment and lost learning due to the pandemic, with trends showing continuous improvement. We expanded support services to families in the community. We initiated several choice schools. We received a Blue Ribbon distinction from the U.S. Department of Education at Franklin Elementary for high student achievement, and our adult basic education program was ranked #1 in the state. And we're just getting started. We're focusing on the future and working to offer students more opportunities that include flexible learning options and career pathways. I helped facilitate an internship program with a local company to offer students career opportunities right here in Mankato. Participation has already more than doubled with students learning about and working in local industry. I helped champion a sustainability committee to find cost-cutting ways to lessen our carbon footprint and teach students environmental stewardship. I supported an equity committee to identify, analyze, and support opportunity gaps in the district so that we can ensure students get what they need to succeed. I'm committed to protecting our students' intellectual freedom and ensuring that they have a sense of belonging in our school. I'm continually amazed by our students, by our families, and the community, and I hope to continue collaborating with all of them to ensure that the district serves the community to the fullest. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Roberts?
How am I supposed to follow that? I mean, I guess just an honor that I was able to take part in all those things that she mentioned there. Aaron Roberts, I am a native to Mankato. Born and raised. I also attended Mankato area public schools, graduated from Mankato East. I have 3 children. One just graduated from Mankato West in 2024, so he is off to his first year of college. I have a sophomore at Mankato East, and then I also have an 8th grader at Prairie Winds. One thing about growing up in the Mankato area as being a child of mixed race is that I really didn't see anybody who looked like me, nor did I see anything in curriculum that would represent me. And so as an adult, I really focused on making sure that I give back to the community and making sure that we have representation in those spaces that need to have that. I am currently the Health Equity Director. I work for the Department of Human Services within Direct Care and Treatment. I support forensic services. And within that role, it's really my job to bring that equity lens and to make sure that we identify areas that maybe historically marginalized communities might be negatively impacted by the decisions that we make, by the processes that we do, by the procedures that we follow, and by policies that are written. And that is that same lens that I bring to the school board. As Liz Ratcliffe mentioned, we did start a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee that I championed to get that going. And really the point of that committee is just to make sure that we are supporting the entire system, because we have a lot of pockets of individuals doing really great things in all of our buildings. And so how can we continue to support that amongst the entire system as a governing body? Thank you.
Thank you. The first question will go to Aaron Roberts, followed by Christopher Kind, Liz Ratcliffe, Tim Flynn, Joel Hollerick, and Elizabeth Hankey. So the first question is, what do you see as the top priorities for the Mankato School District during the next 4 years, and how would you address any budget implications?
Yeah, so
Aaron?
I from where I'm sitting, the top priority is really to continue on with our strategic roadmap and looking at future focused schools. As we talked as a board, we really want to look at more choice schooling for families to make. And that includes our magnet schools that are coming up, and then also the redesign for the middle school and high school. I think if we have students who have more choice, or families that have more choice in the student's education, that naturally will come with more engagement from students. That will come with kids coming to school, so attendance rates. And if we can get them in school and we are able to teach them and engage them, that's just naturally going to have positive outcomes. I'm going to leave it with that.
Okay, thank you. Christopher?
Thank you. A lot of that, I think I would agree with Ms. Roberts. And also, one of the things that we've been working on since we actually brought the kids back for good from home it was making sure that every single kid that came back that came back was eligible to come back to school did. We still have students that they're not back to school. And so it's hard to educate a child if they're not in the building, and we can't work with them. I think that's probably one of the first priorities. But yeah, we've begun a lot of things in the last couple of years, and so continuing to make sure that the learning environment is ripe. The cell phone policy, I think, was a big start to that. That is going to make such a huge difference overall in the atmosphere within the classrooms and the buildings, and I think it already has in its first year. And of course, we are still working on trying to improve and get back to the academic excellence that obviously is always a work in progress. But after COVID, we have been trying to play catch up. And it's just one of those things that you just have to work on. And little by little, I think it's getting better. I think we're able to serve our students better and get them caught up, because eventually you can't catch up anymore because they're not in school. And so I think those are a couple of the bigger ones. And I didn't mention the finances. I can maybe do that with another question.
Thank you. Liz?
Thank you. And not to sound like a broken record here, but both Aaron Roberts and Christopher Kind hit some of the points that I would also hit. We just came through a strategic planning process, and we are really focusing on a lot of future-focused learning. So we want to give students more flexibility in classes they can take in their schedules, and then offering more maybe experiential learning and also some career pathways that allow kids that perhaps aren't going to continue on to higher education can find a career out of high school. So doing a lot of that to prepare kids and give them options, because not everybody's going to fit into, the same path. We also, a priority for me would be to hire more staff that is reflective of our student body. We are working on a Grow Your Own program to find more teachers of color and teachers that represent our students, so that we have a more reflective staff. And then to me, a personal passion for me, I guess, is for kids to have a sense of belonging. I feel that it is fairly robust in our schools, but that is something that I would like to see continue, because I think that kind of bleeds into a lot of different issues.
Thank you. Tim?
Thanks. My biggest top priority is the safety of our children. As you know, we do have students leaving the district, and from what I've been hearing from the kids that I work with, a lot of it, they just don't feel safe at school. When they report issues of being bullied, attacked, harassed, they feel like they're not being heard by the teachers and the staff. So I really want to get more clear policies to help address their needs. And once we can take that burden off them, excuse me, once we can take that burden off them, and they don't have to be fearful of being at school anymore, their grades will start improving as well. And also, I would like to have the school board build a better relationship with the community. I feel like every now and then we're getting divided, and we should be uniting with each other. Thanks.
Thank you. Joel?
So my top priorities are really academic focused. So I want to do whatever it takes to help improve the graduation rate, improve our standardized testing scores, and then overall academic performance. My thoughts on how to do that are to put more staff into the reading intervention area, and to make sure that the kids, by the time they leave fifth grade, and I know a lot of my answers are probably going to sound like I'm harping on the same point, but that they have just the best, strongest base that they can, because if you come to school and you can't read the material, if you can't read aloud when you're called upon, it's going to make you hate coming to school. You're not going to love learning. You're not going to love reading. And those are keys to doing well and being engaged in your education for the rest of your life. I'd like to see some more effort put into training kids up for trades. Having worked in a lot of buildings or remodel and home building projects and stuff in my current role, there's a shortage of folks going into trades, and I'd like to see us encourage more people going into that. And then support for teachers as well, to make sure that it would be great if they didn't have to put together an Amazon wish list every year for things that they want for their classroom. Unfortunately, that's budget restricted, and I want to do all the things, and there's probably not enough money to do all the things. So I think capping salaries or freezing salaries that are over $90,000, and then taking as much money out of non-classroom activities as can be afforded, I guess, and putting it into classrooms.
Thank you. And Elizabeth?
Hello. We need to focus on improving outcomes in the district in a way that genuinely reflects the values of this community. It all begins with ensuring safety, order, and respect in our classrooms. Without those pillars, nothing else can stand. I will advocate for fair and consistent implementation of disciplinary policies grounded in clear, transparent guidelines. Our staff deserve respect, and it's time we restore it at our schools. Transparency is crucial. We should absolutely celebrate all the good things we're doing, as have been mentioned, of Franklin School. But we also need to be honest about our challenges. Some schools and students are making progress, but others are struggling, and we're losing students. If we don't openly acknowledge these difficulties, we can't address them. Problem solving requires honesty and transparency. I also believe in prioritizing pay for our frontline workers, the teachers, counselors, and staff who are directly shaping our students' future. But it's not about just the resources. We need to ensure our policies are built around clear, measurable student outcomes. Outcomes that are reported consistently and reviewed regularly. As liaison between our community and the administration, I am committed to amplifying the voices of parents, teachers, and students, making sure they are not only heard but respected in every decision that shapes our district's future. Thank you.
Thank you. For our second question, the order will be Elizabeth, Tim, Aaron, Joel, Christopher, and Liz. So question number 2. One of the vision statements in the district's strategic roadmap is ensuring safe and secure schools. What do you see as the current concerns and what steps are needed to make this vision a reality? And so we'll start with Elizabeth.
So currently our schools are all locked, which is a good first step. Even after school, when my daughter is playing tennis and it's a meet and the opposing team's trying to get in to get water, there was no way into the school as all the doors were locked at the time. So this is a good first step, making sure that people from outside of the school aren't allowed in and there is clear process. So there's a way to buzz in, and then here at Mankato West, where we are today, they actually print a name tag for you and you stick it on before you go in. So that way, if people are walking around the hallway, they can see that you're an authorized visitor, because clearly I'm not a student. So those are good first steps that we have been making within the district. We need to make sure that we are creating an atmosphere where everyone is respected, because oftentimes the fight and the different arguments that we get in is just communication and again, feeling respected. And of course, this starts with our administration level to ensure that we have good habits forming at the top and filtering down, ensuring that we have good mental health services, which we absolutely do have great counselors at many of our schools, but ensuring that they have the resources that they need in order to make sure our students get the help they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim?
Yes, I was actually at Eagle Lake Elementary today for the preschool family day. And of course, the doors are locked. My biggest concern is I'm not sure. I didn't have the time to look at the door. But are these doors bulletproof? Are they resistant for people can't just kick them, get them in? The sad thing is we do have school shootings, and I'm not sure with the new upgrades, the plans, do we have that? Has that been looked at as well? As far as the kids inside the school, what are the clear policies when we have disruptive kids in the classroom? What are we doing with those kids? What are we doing with the kids who are picking fights, attacking other kids? I've heard a story just happened end of this last school year where a kid was being choked, and this kid was saying obscene gestures to this kid, which how does a little kid know all this stuff? What are the policies that are being implemented to prevent kid safety from each other? So that's my answer.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yeah, well, one of the, I guess, really great things we have going on in our district was after after the referendum that we have new entrances that are going in all the schools that didn't have that double entrance to start with. So I think that that's a really good first step for our district in terms of safety and security and entering the building, as that is the only door that they're able to enter in would be through that corridor. We do still have schools that don't have them. We were able to finish a couple this summer, and next summer we've got some, the rest that will be being completed. So I guess as a school board member right now, I'm really proud that we were able to do that. Because obviously keeping all of our kiddos safe during the day, along with our staff, should be a top priority. In terms of, inside the school buildings, I think physical safety is important. Psychological safety is also equally as important. And when I think about people's behaviors, I think about it as an effect and not a cause. So when we see problematic behavior by either students or the adults that are in the building, I always want to ask the question, why? Not look at that behavior and say, hey, that is the cause. Something happened somewhere to that individual, and that is the effect that we see. And I'm really proud of the people that are in our buildings, because I think they really do focus on that root cause and finding out why we have those behaviors coming out of people. Thank you.
Thank you. Joel?
I mean, like everyone said, the school entrances do seem to be, well secured. The times that I have tried to go to the middle school, to Eagle Lake, to Rosa Parks, to East High School, or Washington or Kennedy, I've been stopped right at the office. Now I'm going in calmly and rationally too, so I'm pretty easy to stop. But I think, like at the high school, the middle school level, I think the presence of school resource officers is good. Not so that, I think it just acts as a deterrent. So, that presence of mind that there is somebody there. I think teachers patrolling hallways and enforcing sending kids to the classroom that they should be in if they're hanging out in the hallway and doing something that's unproductive. Because like Aaron said, that physical safety inside the school, I have heard that there are bathrooms that some kids won't go to because it's not safe, or it's not a good place to hang out or to visit. There shouldn't be a bathroom that anyone's afraid to go and use, So I don't know if it's more presence of teachers patrolling in there, or, the principal in there, assistant principal, whatever it is. But, yeah, I mean, that I guess is what I would want to try to take care of, and to have community involvement when for all of us to know that we're in it together to raise kids who don't engage in that behavior.
Thank you. Christopher?
Thank you. Yeah, it's rough being near the end. A lot of good points. It is. I mean, it's like how can I say it the same things differently, right? A lot of really good points. Obviously, finishing up our secured entrances are huge, because we have to know who's in our buildings and why they're there. It's kind of like a retail setting where you're supposed to greet every customer when they come in the door. Why wouldn't we do that at our schools and ask them if they need help or if they need directions, what their business is? That's just common sense, and I'm glad that we could get there. The classroom in the hallways, I think, is something that I think has room to improve. I feel like in our hallways and sometimes in our bathrooms, it can be unpredictable as to what our students are going to run into, and I don't think that needs to happen. And sometimes I hear that from my own child that at times the classroom can be so distracting, and it just doesn't change, and it's hard to learn. I have a child that's easily distracted, ADHD, and having her classmates not following along with what the teacher is saying or instructing, that's very difficult for a lot of students. And so to allow teachers to teach and not necessarily just have to try to have behavior modification time, that would be fantastic. And reducing violence and distractions, of course, everybody wants that. So that's a work in progress, and I'm happy to keep working on it.
Thank you. And Liz?
Thank you. I'm going to say what Chris said. Going towards the end, it's hard to come up with something that hasn't already been said. I'm for sure, I would echo both Aaron and Chris's, pride, I guess, or happy that we've got the referendum passed. So grateful to the community for getting that passed so that we can update all the entrances in the school and that they are safe. Another thing, circling back to what I had said in a previous question, fostering a sense of belonging. When kids feel that they belong, they're less likely to act out. So I think creating a climate where kids feel like they belong, A lot of the social emotional learning lessons that are taught in classes, reduce bullying, which also, again, feeds back into that belonging. And then just the investment that we've made into mental health workers and social workers also helps to increase the safety inside the building. And then finally, I would say cybersecurity, because with that referendum, we did have some updates to the cybersecurity, which also keeps our kids safe from online threats.
Thank you. For our third question, the order will be Liz, Joel, Tim, Aaron, Elizabeth, Christopher. Okay, so question number 3. What additional resources or training are needed to ensure students with mental health challenges are identified and receive support? And so we'll start with Liz.
Yeah, that is a good question. I guess I don't know specifically what training, but I do think that ongoing training, as society changes, as different issues develop, professional development that helps teachers and our staff stay on top of how to mitigate situations, mental health situations, and again, training to foster the climate of belonging in school. Again, I'm circling back to that. I guess I just feel like it's a huge thing for me. I feel like if kids belong, if they feel that they belong, they're less likely to act out, they're more likely to ask for help. And then just the training so that teachers can identify maybe kids that are struggling to feel like that they belong.
Thank you. Joel?
So as a kid, I struggled with mental health. And there is no way that I don't think that any of my teachers would have known it until I decided to talk to one of them. So what training could you do to spot it? Boy, I mean, you could certainly do some training on warning signs and the kind of the stereotypical things, but there's going to be kids who hide it, well, because there are tragic stories that we hear in the news or that we've seen in our own community of I never saw this coming, and I had no idea. So I think it's building a community effort. So yes, train. I don't know. I don't know the specific curriculums or the specific trainings, but if they're out there, absolutely give them to the teachers and get them signed up for them. But as a community, right, we need to be comfortable talking to our friend. Kids need to be comfortable talking to the parents. Hey, I'm concerned about my buddy Tim, or Jeff or whatever. I mean, that's just so. Without it being a community thing, I just don't know how you make a teacher able to recognize that stuff, because kids can hide it so well. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. So just train them up as best you can in the things that are obvious, and make sure that they know that help is available and they can come and talk to somebody that they can trust, whether it's a school or staff, volunteer, community person, whatever.
Thank you. Tim?
I'm going to go a little bit different route. First of all, I want to say I love the fact that our schools have the Hope Squad in our schools. These kids are getting trained on how to handle their peers if their peers comes to them with a problem. Teachers can't see everything. And like Joel said, kids can hide this stuff very, very well. When I was bullied, I hid that very, very well. I would have loved to have a peer that I could go to and tell them how I felt, to get that support. So I think having programs like Hope Squad where kids are training to learn how to, they're learning how to handle big issues, but as a kid-to-kid type of a level. I like to see more stuff like that because, like I said, teachers can't see everything. Kids are with their friends a lot, and I'm a big supporter of more of that mental health training, teaching the kids on how to watch out for their own. Thanks.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a really great in-house resource, right, which is our social workers and our counselors. And so how could we get our teachers connected with them and maybe even have those that are already professionally trained help our teachers learn how to recognize and or identify maybe early warning signs of a student who may be having some mental health issues going on. Another thing is that the district partners with the Mankato Area United Way, and they are able to get us out connected with community resources. I think that that has been a really, really great resource for us. We even have, I think it's Counseling Services of Southern Minnesota comes into our building. They send somebody in there and they're there, whether it's once a month, I think it is, at the various buildings. And so our students can see their therapist right there in their building. They don't even have to leave. And so I think if we can continue to partner with our community partners, that's only going to widen the resources for our students to be able to get what they need, and also in their building, because not every student can get to an appointment. Not every student is going to have a ride there, a ride back. And so if we can get them in the building to be able to support them right where they're at, that's the best, I think, support that we could give our students.
Thank you. And Christopher.
Okay, thank you. A lot of good points. Again, I think this is probably an issue that 10 years ago would not have be made into a question. And so there's a lot of new approach and new recognition of these types of needs. And I think we're still learning how within a school district and within our buildings, the best practices and how to approach individual challenges, because every kid's different. That's a big task for a public school system or a building or the professionals. You know, the teaching environment is hard enough, and then we have to add an environment that maybe has some psychiatry and some psychology, and that's really, really tough. I have a hard time believing that sometimes our academic commitments aren't affected by all the other things that we would love to do to help our kids, but maybe we aren't prepared, or maybe that isn't really our role. And sometimes we have to use the community, and we have to refer to professionals outside our buildings and outside our school district. But we definitely need to support every student and make sure that we're recognizing something's going on, we listen to what they tell us, and we respond the best we can as a district.
For question 4. Oh, I'm sorry.
question.
Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Elizabeth.
Not a problem. It happens.
I am so sorry. Elizabeth, thank you.
And I'm going to, as the person going last, I am going to repeat quite a bit as far as we do have quite a few mental health services, Hope Squad, the Youth Mental Health Navigator. Those things are there. Our school did put in place cell phone policies, and ensuring that those policies are implemented equally throughout our schools. I believe that's going to be important, because there's abundance of research showing that smartphones can be profoundly distracting, not just in terms of attention, but also in terms of our emotional health. And we need to consider the kinds of environments that we are creating for our students, and whether that's widespread cell phone use in our schools is compatible with our vision. Clearly it's not, as they've put together policies for it. And then, of course, as it's been mentioned before, we need to create a culture in our schools where everyone has a sense of belonging, community, and purpose. It's not just about keeping kids physically safe, as we're talking about now, but also emotionally and mentally, and creating atmospheres where we're fortifying the bonds that hold our communities together. That's how we ensure mental health safety in the long run. And I would only add to that teachers' jobs are getting more and more complex, and I believe all of our teachers, most anyway, are kids can come to them. Adding on an additional job of being a counselor or mental health provider is a lot for a teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry. I've overlooked you at the end. I apologize. Okay. Question number 4. We'll start with Christopher, Liz, Elizabeth, Tim, Aaron, and Joel. All right. Question number 4. One of the strategic directions for the district is recruiting, developing, and retaining staff to ensure positive learning experiences for students. As a member of the board, what steps would you take to achieve this goal? And we'll start with Christopher.
That's a great question. obviously any organization thrives when you have long-term, knowledgeable, experienced people representing your company or your business or your school. And what business wouldn't thrive with people that have committed their professional lives to your customers and their coworkers and the staff that they work with? And that's honestly, it comes down to job satisfaction, which can be different for everybody that works within different places in the district. It doesn't just come down to one thing, whether it's pay, benefits, doing the job you want to do. Sometimes it just comes down to the fact that you're welcome, your employer has your back, you're working with people that have the same goals and have the same aspirations as you, and you can work together as a unit. It's a great gig if you can get it. If you can work for an employer for a long period of time, you're invested. I think you're especially invested in the future and the results of the company that you're able to spend a lot of time with and really make part of your life. I don't know if I have exact answers on how to do that, but obviously we're always looking for long-term support and taking care of our people.
Thank you. Liz?
A lot of what Chris said, I agree with. Some other things that we do in the district, either starting to or have been doing for a while, we have some initiatives that Grow Your Own, where we try and recruit teachers or students within our school to go into the teaching profession. We've built some relationships with the universities, the local universities here too, to help recruit teachers and staff. A big one for me is, again, creating an environment where teachers feel appreciated. I think oftentimes they are underappreciated, sometimes even villainized, but these are the people that take care of our kids a lot of the time. I think teaching is a very noble profession, and I trust and value teachers, and I think that needs to be fostered. Teachers need to understand that we really appreciate them. Those would be the top things in terms of what we're looking at doing to recruit and retain teachers.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
All right. So one of the very first school board meetings, among the first school board meetings I went to, there was a university professor at the College of Education, and she had come to speak to the board at that time, and yes, this is a few years ago, about the fact that they're seeing a lot of their end-year students that are working in the classroom dropping out of the program, and they don't have many. And the one thing I remember her advocating for is just the safety and respect within the classroom, because clearly if our teachers in training aren't seeing it, it's not a path that they follow through. But in addition to that, if a student doesn't feel that their teachers are being respected, it's probably not a profession that they will pursue that way either. So we have those two avenues. One thing is, when I was hosting my exchange teacher at Mankato East, he went on and on about how wonderful all the students were and how supported he felt by our teachers. I'd like to see more programs like that as well, where it's not just exchange teachers coming in and sharing their experiences he was from Norway, and he did say there was a time where students would come in for multiple tests. He really appreciated going back to Norway in order to have a higher standard. He really appreciated the standard in his school. But I really do think that doing that even locally, doing an exchange, Maple River teachers, Lake Crystal teachers, doing maybe teacher exchanges to a different country might provide that incentive for young teachers to get into the profession with those additional things. Maybe that's a state level advocacy, but thank you.
Thank you. Tim?
Those are all great responses. I agree with all of you guys on that. I guess what I would add to it is making sure that when the teacher brings up a concern, that we acknowledge it, we hear it, we work on finding a solution, because they are at the front lines of all of our kids' education. And secondly, I would also push for more paras in the school. I've heard stories of kids being very distracting. I know it's a lot of work for a teacher to redirect that student and then have them try to continue on with the lessons. So I would, to add to what everybody else was saying, increase the para support for the kids who might need that extra help to help them focus and listen, and try to make that teacher's job as easy as possible. And we want them to enjoy that job. We want them to come to work every day, looking forward to working with our kids. Thanks.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yeah, I guess I would first just want to make sure that we acknowledge the tough few years that our teachers went through during the pandemic. I think we'd be doing a disservice to them if we didn't acknowledge the work that they did, having to go back and forth, the way that they turned and modified and shifted at a moment's notice. But all of that can take a toll on an individual. And so, I mean, to say that our teachers have grit, I think is an understatement. They still show up every single day, loving our kids and doing a phenomenal job. One of the things that I'm really hoping that comes out of the new strategic plan is this idea in my head where I think about like modernized teaching, being able to get creative with their lessons. How can I engage students in the classroom and then say, hey, we're going to go out into the community and we get to see it in real life. I'm hoping that that style can help re-energize some of that passion that may have been lost during the pandemic, that kind of sucked the energy out of some of our teachers. So and hopefully if we are able to do this and really redesign our teaching and learning, that will also it will be attractive for other people to want to come work for our district. Thank you.
Thank you. And Joel?
So I think one option would be maybe some job shadowing earlier in the education process for students who are in elementary ed. I had a coworker at a bank who had been a teacher in the Mankato School District and quit after 2 years because it wasn't what she thought it was going to be. So how you go through 4 years and then get into the school and you're surprised by what your job is, I think is a failure to really represent, that it's not the ideal, perfect, situation all the time. Maybe some mentoring from retired teachers, if there are teachers who need some support or are struggling or have questions, or other former educators from the college or wherever. But I think too, it's partly, and this might lose me all my votes, that we have to trust the teacher might be right when the teacher is talking to parents about classroom behaviors, because I think too often when we have challenges for teachers have challenges in the classroom and they try to work this out with parents, the pushback is, well, it's your fault. It is not my child. And so I think as a community, as a board, everybody, we need to remind all of our neighbors, our friends, our family that it might be you. And give that teacher that support that they really need so that they can work, as effectively as possible in the classroom.
Thank you. For question number 5, the order will be Joel, Aaron, Christopher, Liz, Elizabeth, and Tim. All school systems work to maximize enrollment in order to maximize funding. What do you think the district needs to do to maximize their enrollment? And we'll start with Joel.
So to maximize enrollment, so you've got to take the kids who left in the last few years and the families who have this idea that Mankato isn't the place to be, and change their perception of how great of a district this is. So I think, and I've said before, we need to celebrate wins a lot more. We need to celebrate the good things that are happening in the classrooms, that are happening, with academic teams, with athletic teams, whatever it is. But celebrate the difference that the teachers are making in the lives of our students, right? Whether it's, my kid got their first 100% on a test ever, or it's, my kid's team made it to state, or whatever. But beyond just what makes the newspaper, because the things that are easy to make the newspaper are the fights and are the disagreements and are the viral things that are really fun and easy to you get riled up and you share it with everybody. Well, let's get riled up about the good things that happen too, because there are a lot of them, and they get overlooked and overshadowed by those negative things. So I think the school could potentially change their website or add something where you can celebrate those kinds of things, and you can talk about the good things that are happening, what your kids are loving, how they're happy, and I guess all of that, and talk to everybody who loves it. Tell your neighbor, tell your friends, right? Tell the people who have taken their kids to the surrounding districts, hey, I'm glad my kid has gone to Mankato and they had a really great education. We love the teachers. Just tell people.
Thank you. Aaron.
Well, I'm going to feel like I'm repeating myself over and over and over again, but I do think that, and I am a firm believer in our new strategic plan and our new future-focused schools. And I know as a parent, if I saw a neighboring district who is really coupling in classroom learning with community engagement and getting out and being able to have that hands-on learning, that would be really attractive to me as a parent. We do a lot of that in our summer school right now, especially with the elementary kids, and I think in the middle school level as well, where they might learn about something and then they get to see it in practice, and it's been really successful. The summer engagement students seem to really, really like that approach. My daughter participated in it a couple of summers ago, and she definitely talked more about her school day at that time than she does any other time. But I think it was that the whole idea of being able to get your hands in what you've been learning in the classroom. And so I'm really hopeful for that. I also think to continue to spread the word about, we've got social media accounts and they're constantly putting celebratory things out there, continuing with our board bulletin and making sure that we're communicating out what we're doing and the positive things that are happening within the school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Christopher?
Yes. Yeah, that's a big challenge for us. And I think it is a lot of trying to reclaim, but also I think it's basically just putting people at ease that they can trust the district with their kids. When my parents asked me if I wanted to change between 8th and 9th grade, if I wanted to change and go to a school that was 35 miles away from where I lived, it was partly because of things like bullying, things like not being able to keep up academically. It's all the same things a lot of times as it is, now 40 years later. And so that was an easier decision based upon those things going on in my life. I think we have some perceptions to change, and we're doing that through our communication, but we have to keep that up. Accentuate the positives, deal with the challenges, transparently as best we can, try to change and fix the things that are most important to our stakeholders. One also, too, is that I'm always thinking, okay, we need to find out why students and parents are leaving, and we need to replicate the things that they're looking for when they want to leave, because that's a big decision, because oftentimes the resources aren't there. They're going to have to get their kid to and from school. They don't have the time. They're going to have to volunteer to make that school work. We have to replicate to make sure that we're giving students and the parents the things that they're actually disappearing and leaving for. We're updating our techniques and models, and honestly, the public system cannot be matched when it comes to multi-layered involvement for students and parents. We got to emphasize that.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
All right, can you repeat the question?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Yes. No, I'm happy to. All school systems work to maximize enrollment in order to maximize funding. What do you think the district needs to do to maximize their enrollment?
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate the question. So oftentimes we hear about the great things the school is doing. And of course, we should continue advertising all the resources that we have and all these things that are available in our district as a larger district. However, we also need to be honest about the challenges we face. Oftentimes, what I'm hearing when I'm out community canvassing is that parents do not feel heard. if you have a problem, oftentimes there's this long bureaucratic process. People don't check back in with you, and you kind of get lost in the system at times. And so the thing that I experienced, because we did have an exchange student go to Maple River when this school was closed for the option, is in the smaller districts, getting to an authority figure is much easier. You'll see at Lake Crystal or at Maple River, potentially at St. Clair, I haven't been there, is you'll have a superintendent, someone in a decision-making position walking the hallways between classes. They have open times for community members to come and reach them. And we need to make our processes easier to use, make sure that the community is effectively heard in order to boost our enrollment and get that enrollment up.
Thank you. And Tim?
Well, like the school said, they want to highlight their positives, and they are doing that right now. I see that. They've been doing that. So why are we still having problems with enrollment if we're highlighting these positives? And as Liz mentioned, a lot of parents don't feel like they're being heard. My biggest thing right now is bullying. Parents feel like it just gets swept underneath the rug. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to deal with it. They'll treat bullying as a conflict, not as true bullying. I think if we can acknowledge that, okay, we do have a problem with this issue, let people know these are the action steps we're going to be taking to improve these issues. And the next thing is, be okay with hearing a different opinion that might not reflect what the board thinks. People, if the board's going to attack you for having a different opinion, that's not making the school look good either. Just respect everyone's opinion and find a common ground to meet there.
Thank you.
I didn't get to answer that one yet. It's probably the Liz Elizabeth thing.
This is what I'm doing. I am
okay.
so sorry,
That's all right.
Liz.
That's all right. No problem. No worries whatsoever. Okay. I just wanted to say that our high school enrollment is actually higher than what we had forecasted. So that is kind of indicating that kids are coming back. Now, it's not the same in the elementary, although it is not like a huge deficit. But there's been talk that is also due to the lower birth rates with statewide. So that is one thing that has affected our enrollment, but like I said, we are stabilized at around 8,000. And again, a lot of we are getting a larger than expected increase in the high school enrollment. Things that we can do to increase it would be to provide more wraparound care, which is what we are doing now at the new Center for Learning, as well as expand our early learning programs. So once we have kids come in at a young age and that we can help families by supporting them with wraparound care, we're going to be able to retain students throughout their school career. Of course, and just fostering a strong community. People are already drawn to Mankato, and I think as our district has rebounded, I think we are getting a lot of these people back. It's a great community. So I do think that is also very helpful. And right now, our budget is very well situated to sustain what we have now and then accommodate growth. But we're in a very healthy spot in terms of our budget versus enrollment. Thanks.
Thank you, and I apologize for overlooking you. Okay. The next one I think I'll get right because it's just in order. For question number 6, we'll start with Tim, then Elizabeth, Joel, Christopher, Liz, and Aaron. I think I can handle this one, okay. Question number 6. School board members have responsibilities for aspects of district management and governance. What do you see as your role as a school board member in establishing classroom curriculum? And we'll start with Tim.
That is a great question. As a school board member, I would first want to focus on the basics because the state is testing us on math, reading, and science. So I want to make sure that that's what we are focusing on, just so we can meet the state standards. I know we would like to focus on other educational opportunities, which is very important as well. But if we are struggling with low grades, that should be top priority. I do like the fact that we are getting the new magnet schools. Kids will, when they comprehend things, maybe they're not good at math, but when they can do hands-on type of situations and have that idea click in their head, I think that's going to be great help for our students. But right now, just to focus on, we have a great issue. The district improved by a little bit, according to Minnesota Report Card. I think just like 0.09% or 0.9%, sorry, under 1%. But it is a challenge, and I think we just kind of start focusing on just the basics. That would help us out.
Thank you. Elizabeth.
All right. So our question is about the roles and responsibilities of the school board as well as curriculum, correct?
You see as your role in establishing classroom curriculum as a school board member.
All right. So as far as like what the board does, it is the care, management, and control of the independent districts. As far as the curriculum is concerned, there are processes. I think it's, again, going more to transparency, ensuring that the parents are know what their students are being taught, making sure that we have good, clear policy and procedures as far as standards and for curriculum appeals, making that process easier to follow so people feel more heard, and potentially going ahead, and if there was a lot of concerns about curriculum, going back to it as a board the following year and seeing if there needs to be any adaptions there. Otherwise, again, it just really goes back to transparency. A lot of times I think we think things are happening more than they are, because we don't have a transparent process. Not to say that you can go online and at the schools and see a lot of the curriculum. However, one thing I really liked when we were over at Maple River is, even for high schoolers, they gave you a packet with the curriculum and you and the student had to sign it. So it was super transparent. I'm sure most people don't use it, but I did because it was kind of interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Joel.
So for curriculum, I think it's critical to communicate with the teachers who are in the classroom, who are doing the teaching, and asking them what's working and what's not, and then trying to partner with them to, help find new resources if things need to go in a different direction for new technology or new hands-on learning or new, more visual, more audio, whatever it happens to be. The district has a curriculum specialist, and so I guess I would expect that person to be engaged and involved, every day with making sure that the teachers have the materials that they need to meet the standards, the Minnesota State standards, and that the teachers are able to kind of reach. You've got to reach the top, the middle, and those who are struggling too. And so to make sure that the curriculum is robust enough that it's catching every student at every level. I'd also like to see us add some more options in the high school if we can, for kids who for whom a 4-year college isn't their goal. So adding hands-on work or more more trade school kind of things, experience like that, so that kids don't go through 4 years of high school thinking a 4-year degree is the only option that they can pursue, and if they don't do that, then there's something wrong with them, or they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So I think to kind of normalizing that message that being a productive member of society is the important part when you're done, not just going on for even more education.
Thank you. Christopher?
Thank you. Yeah, I can certainly tell you firsthand that as a governing board, we would not like to manage curriculum. That's not something we're tasked with doing, that we're interested in doing. But we are tasked with serving and hearing parental concerns, advising the district management as to those concerns, and following up if need be. And at the bottom of that is trust. And if trust is at a high level, we're allowing our teachers to teach their curriculum. We're allowing the management of the teachers to approve the curriculum and to change something if it needs to be changed. But that trust has to come first, and that's gonna fix a lot of issues. We had a couple instances where there's been some things to correct and things to really bring out and really talk about, and I think that's valuable. But man, that's not our role as a governing board. We'd like to do governance things, rather than be arbiters in disagreement. So I think it comes down to essentially we're looking from a high level at what's going on. We don't get we're not involved in the day-to-day, but we sure do hear about it from our constituents, and we'll respond accordingly, trying to stay within our lane and allowing our professionals to do the same.
Thank you. Liz?
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what Chris said. We are, as a governing body, we aren't the education professionals, at least not all of us on the board are. We do have a teacher on the board, but that's not our field of expertise, or I'll speak for myself. It's not mine. I trust the educational professionals to establish the curriculum. As a board, we might respond to community feedback or feedback from teachers, and then, of course, budgeting for that curriculum. And that's kind of what my view of our role in establishing curriculum would be.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what the last two people have said, is that as a school board, we are a governance board, and so there's school board work and then there's superintendent work. And as a school board, we set out the vision and expectations of the district, and then it's the superintendent's job to make sure that that is upheld. And that includes going down to curriculum. He has staff who are professionals that are able to manage that, and should something be brought to our attention at any point, then that is something that as a board we can take a look at, with the 7. But other than that, it's not the job of the school board to be managing curriculum of our staff at all.
Thank you. Our final question will first go to Christopher, and then Joel, Liz, Tim, Aaron, and Elizabeth. And this one's just going to be a quick one here. So in 15 or 30 seconds, please tell us what you think is going well in the Mankato's public school system. And so we'll start with Christopher.
Okay. I think we've got about as best as stability in our leadership, and we've got probably within our buildings and within the cabinet some of the best continuity that we've had, and on our board. And that really allows us to be able to work on important things without having to deal with being unaware of certain issues. We're all pretty much on, we know what's going on. We've all been here, and it's good to have a well-run machine that works together well.
Thank you. Joel?
So things that I think are going well, the special ed department, the experiences that my daughter has had at Rosa Parks and at Prairie Winds have been fantastic. I can't say enough good things about the staff that she's worked with and that my wife and I have partnered with. And then the opportunity for the advanced placement classes for my 2 who are in the high school. I didn't have that as a kid. It would have helped me a ton to be able to have those courses, to be more engaged. So I think having that offering as well is something that our district is doing well.
Thank you. Tim? Oh. Liz, I'm sorry. Liz.
That's all right.
You'd think
All right.
I could count.
No,
I was a math teacher after all.
Well, as far as what's going good, our grades and our enrollment are maybe not where we want them to be, but they are all trending upwards. So we are on the right path there. And then I'm going to echo what Chris said. As far as a board, we are kind of like crushing it right now. We've just kind of got through a lot of these challenges, and now everything is moving efficiently. And we are, a survey we did with the public, we have 91% of the people surveyed gave our district an A or B.
Okay, thank you. Tim?
I love the early intervention program that we have here. It's got to be hands down the best. When my oldest, we were in Nicollet, it was good. But when we came to Mankato, we got the best treatment. Right now, my 3-year-old is getting free preschool because she's behind in her speech, and the teachers that work with her are so caring. I can ask them questions about anything, and they got me good answers. I love the fact that today I was able to go to my daughter's preschool class and participate in the parent and me as well. So we got great early education.
Thank you. Aaron.
Well, Tim took mine. Yeah, I was just gonna, talk about the work that we've done at the Center for Learning, because we all know that getting our earliest learners or our youngest learners ready to go when they enter kindergarten is only going to set them up for success. So that's one. And then I'm also going to echo what my colleagues have said about our board. We all have very, very diverse perspectives. We don't always agree on everything, but we are really able to work together to respect each other and really come to meet everybody in the middle for what we believe is best in the district. Thank you.
And Elizabeth.
All right, so as the largest school district in the area, we have amazing extracurricular activities, additional activities. We have so many things to be a part of. That's clearly one of our strengths. The career opportunities, I think, are also amazing, and internships, a lot, especially for some of the students that are coming from poor families. To be able to work a little bit during the school day is an amazing opportunity.
Thank you. Candidates will now have 2 minutes to give a closing statement. I'll first read a statement from candidate Tracy Frederick Corcoran, and then we'll start with Elizabeth, followed by Aaron, Tim, Liz, Joel, and Christopher. Okay? So, this is from Tracy Frederick Corcoran. I want to reaffirm my commitment to the values we share and the vision we have for our school district. I believe that every child deserves an education that empowers them to succeed, and I am dedicated to working tirelessly to make that vision a reality. I have a proven track record committed to educational equity, ensuring rigorous and relevant curriculum, and working to ensure our schools are safe and supportive. I have a genuine passion for public education and readiness to tackle the challenges we face head-on. I bring 15 plus years of working in education to the table, but more importantly, I bring a deep commitment to listening and collaborating with all of you, students, parents, teachers, and community members. The decisions we make today will shape the future for our children and our community. With your support, I am confident we can overcome the obstacles and create a school district we can all be proud of. I ask for your vote, trust, and partnership on this journey. Let's transform our schools together to make a difference in the lives of our students and ensure a brighter, more promising future for everyone. Please join me on my Facebook page, Tracy Frederick Corcoran, MAP School Board Candidate, and website www.tracyfrederickcorcoran to learn more about my commitment and passion to public education. Thank you. Okay. And so for the closing statement, we'll start with Elizabeth.
All right. Well, since I didn't get to thank the League of Women Voters before, I'm going to thank you now. This is an amazing opportunity, and local politicians don't have this many opportunities to discuss our issues. And where I want to go from here is, obviously everyone here is extremely passionate about the education system, which is absolutely wonderful. When I'm out about canvassing in our community, you can go to a house with all the liberal sides, you can go to the house with all the conservative signs, and we all want the same thing, which gives me a lot of hope for this community, because we want to ensure that the students that aren't meeting reading standards are getting the help that they need. We want to ensure that our resources are going to our teachers, and we're limiting down the growth of our administration, and we just need to get past these terms that don't necessarily have that focused meaning in order to get at the things that we all want, which is safe, secure schools that provide opportunities for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron.
Yeah, I was just trying to think about how to wrap all this up, because we've had, a lot of great questions. We heard from a lot of great perspectives, which I think is what makes this process so great. I think that I bring a lens to the school board that is different from the rest of my colleagues, and looking at the panel will continue to be different. And I think that is what makes me unique. I'd also like to, as we continue on with our DEI committee, is really looking at our racial education gaps that we have. You know, we've done a lot of talking about getting our students up to our standards, but we haven't talked about what the group of students are that tend to be the ones that are below the standard. And with that is we may have to take a look at how we're teaching. And does that mean we need to be more culturally responsive to our students of color? I don't know that answer, but it's definitely something that I would love to continue that conversation forward as we move into the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim?
And I forgot as well thank you to the League of Women Voters as well. I actually, had a good closing statement, but I changed it this week. First of all, I just want to say I respect the current school board. You guys are passionate. You speak what you believe in, and that's very important. It's also important for kids to see that. When you believe in something you're passionate about, you speak up for it, and that's good for kids to know. There's other people that are going to see your opinion, and they're going to be passionate too, but they're going to have a different viewpoint about that opinion. This past couple of days, as you probably read in the Free Press today, it appeared like the school board had a meeting. They sent out a letter saying, but they talked about where MAPS has been 4 years ago, where it's at today, where it's going in the future. They also mentioned basically telling how I read it, if you don't elect these 4 candidates for school board, MAPS will not have a positive future. I'm sorry, that just feels like an imbalance of power to me. First of all, the school board should be excited that there are 7 members of the community that stepped up to run for this position, because as a business owner, you're pretty much putting a target on your back as well, because you're going to have your views come out as well. I just feel like that was unprofessional of the school board's use of power to sway the election in their favor. Let me speak my opinion. Let the voters hear. Let them decide. I feel that the school board needs right now, as we speak in enrollments, we need to stop dividing people, because you hear people that support what the school board wrote because they all signed it, and you hear people who don't support it. That's a division. We need to start uniting everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz?
Thank you. I'm just going to close by saying that growing up, I lived all over the place. As a child of a military person, we never lived in a town for longer than 3 years. And so when I finally was an adult, went off to school, and then settled down myself, I moved to Mankato, and I fell in love with it. And I've been here for 26 years. I live here and work here. I've put my 2 children through these schools, and they are thriving. They've moved on to the next chapter in their lives, and they're doing very well. And I credit this school district with giving them such a solid foundation and to be successful. And in my childhood and going through lots of different schools, granted it was a long time ago, but just comparing my school experience with what I see when I visit community schools here, it just reaffirms my pride, whether I'm on the school board or not, just as a community member, how proud I am of the school district. They really do have excellent teachers, excellent facilities, and they offer excellent education to our kids.
Thank you. Joel?
So tomorrow night we're going to play a couple of varsity football games for homecoming, and the crowds there are going to cheer and cheer and cheer. And I want to see our students, our teachers, and our community have as much pride in our schools on a Tuesday afternoon as they will tomorrow night at those football games. So that's, I guess, when I envision the future of Mankato Public Schools, right, is a place where your kid, your niece, your nephew, is glad that they went, that teachers are glad that they got to teach. And so, I bring, I guess, a background working in nonprofits, listening to people and helping to solve problems, working in banking, so I have an education in economics and understand budgets and finance that I can bring to the board. years of experience of listening to my mom talk about her education experience, my wife and hers, seeing my kids go through it, and so I think that I can work with the rest of the board to help make sure that it is the best school district that it can be. So, thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you. Christopher.
I'll have to apologize. I'm going to read my final statement, which is essentially my 3 priorities, because there wasn't space in the online version, and I tend to use a lot of words, so I apologize. But I think we hit on a lot of these, but I really wanted to emphasize the fact that measurable results and outcomes in student achievement obviously are the bottom line, and that's what we're here for. In the short term, student achievement needs to be measured in ways that doesn't always provide an accurate predictor of potential or success in the long term. When I was in school, I was a C student. And when I went to college, the first time, I was a C+ student. And then when I finished college, I made the dean's list. And so you just never know what's going to happen when you give the tools and kids grow up. You never know what they're going to be able to do. And so we work within a government school system, and it requires our educators to work with those tools that they're given and the parameters. But man, we have to be able to show to our taxpaying public and our parents and the community that we're on the right track. That's super important. We talked a lot about creating a safe culture, or a culture of safety in schools and classrooms and the learning environment. We have a strong partnership with our SROs. We brought them back before a lot of districts that had previously moved on from them. And, obviously the students need and deserve violence-free schools. The classroom should be allowed to exist as a safe place to participate in the learning process for both teachers and the students without compromise. Kind of a pet peeve of mine is my third point, and I don't know really as a governing board member how I would really change this, but we need to discourage replacing knowledge and fact-based learning with political or social activism. I just think that just takes us backwards. Parents, employers, and taxpayers are expecting academic basics plus competency, right? That's our finished product. That's what we're trying to create. And, being a kid trying to navigate school and growing up is hard enough without being burdened by adult-themed conflict and controversy. I'm an adult and I hate that stuff. So I wanted to thank the League of Women Voters again for having us. It's been really important to address the questions by the community and also provide that exposure to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And this concludes our forum. If we did not get to your... Oh.
Did we miss somebody? No, I went. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I'm missing Elizabeth again. My brain's trained now.
I'm like, uh-oh, now what did I do? This concludes our forum. If we did not get to your question, please contact the candidates directly. Contact information is available at the Minnesota Secretary of State's website under Elections and Voting Candidate Filings. I want to thank our candidates for participating this evening. Thanks also go to Tony Peregrine and the City of St. Peter for videography support, the Mankato Area Public Schools, as well as my fellow League volunteers. To our viewers of this recording, thank you for watching. For more information about voting and the candidates for Mankato School Board, please visit www.vote411.org. And remember to vote. The election will be held on November 5th, and early voting started on September 20th. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.